You're watching Much Ado About Something, and I'm Donna. Well, Donald and I are up in the mountains today, and I wanted to show you this perfect example of mullein. Now here it is, this beautiful, beautiful herb that's growing wild here on the side of the road. There's a lot of it out here, and this mullein is about 2 years old. So what we're going to do with this mullein today is harvest some of it. We're going to harvest it and take it with us so we can use in tea. This is one of the most excellent herbs for lung health. And since I've been struggling with that, that's something I'm interested in. That's something I'm going to harvest to make tea and tinctures out of. Now this plant's 2 years old. It'll send out a stalk that'll have flowers on it that you can use to make tinctures too. But I'm going to get this at its early stage this year because I'm needing it right now. I'm not going to take the root. I'm just going to take the plant. Now mullein has these little sticky leaves, and it can catch dirt, a lot of dirt. But this mullein is really clean growing here like it's growing today. I will take this and clean it up a little bit. But I'm just interested in the harvesting part today. This plentiful, beautiful herb. By getting this mullein this way, it's clean, and it'll be easy to clean up and dry out and use in teas. It's so good for lung health and many other things. There's plenty of it. This is just plentiful all up the side of this mountain. So we're not going to be putting anything in jeopardy by harvesting this mullein. And we're going to just take what we need. But since I've been struggling with some lung health and lung issues, I'm using a little more this year than I've used in the past to make tea with. What would make anybody want to go and just harvest a bunch of mullein or a plant off of the side of the road? Today we went to my family's property and harvested mullein away on a dirt road that was near their house. And we got this beautiful mullein leaf. And I'm laying it out here on this rack to dry. I'm going to dry this mullein, and we're going to talk about it for a little bit. We're going to talk about what would make an ordinary person want to use mullein. We're going to talk about mullein uses for an ordinary person. And we're going to talk about why we would want to gather this and to dry it and to harvest it. Now, there's a lot of herbal recipe books. There's a lot of herbal books. There's all kinds of books and research that you can do for yourself to find out all the properties of mullein. But I wanted to share with you why I collect mullein, why my husband and I go to the trouble every year at this time, and then even after the mullein flowers, why do we go to the trouble to harvest it? What benefits are there in it for the ordinary person to harvest mullein? I've took some notes here. What we harvested today from the side of the road was verbascum species. It was Verbascum thapsus. It's the common mullein. And I'll show you in this video the rosettes that we harvested today. It has alternating leaves and it's a common mullein. It smells minerally dusty and it doesn't have an aroma. It's not a specific smell. It's a biennial flower. In the second year of life, it blooms with a yellow stalk. And it has a big stalk. Sometimes they can get up to 8 feet tall. And they have yellow flowers. And then that stalk dies and makes seeds. And the mullein plant that's how it's spread. It self-sows the seeds. And then new rosettes come up every year. But the seeds, the stalk and seeds only comes on a plant that's 2 years old. It's a biennial. And these are just some notes that I took from my research that I'm going to share with you that I've jotted down here. And then I'll show you the uses the things that I make to use in everyday life with this mullein. And this is late spring, so that's when we chose to harvest this because the leaves were not real big. Now these leaves can get up to like 2 or 3 feet. I mean, they can get very big. But this is a first year rosette that we harvested. And one of the reasons that I really wanted to harvest this year was because if you've watched any of my videos in the past, then you know I've had some lung issues. I had the virus and I got pneumonia, and I've just struggled with my lung health. But I am really getting back to myself. I'm healing and feeling so much better. And one of the things I attribute it to helping to ease the discomfort and to help my lung health is mullein tea. It's something that I drink, and it's something that I've really applied to aid my healing. It's a lot like nutrition and other things that you do for the benefit of your body. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not an herbalist. These are just things that we have learned. Donald and I have learned over the years, and mullein is one of the things that we love to harvest, and we love to use it. And I'll just read some of this research that I did for you here in a minute, but I wanted to share with you why I choose to harvest it and to use it. But if you look at it, it looks like a lung, you know. And there's some scientific study about foods and herbs that look like the body parts that they help to heal. It's like walnuts look like a brain, and come to find out, walnuts are really good for your brain. And then this mullein leaf, it kind of looks like a lung, and it's really good for lung health. But I'll read some of the research that I've found. It's used as a respiratory aid, natural antiviral, antibacterial, works against gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria, anti-inflammatory, anti-influenza properties, antioxidant, anti-carcinogenic, helps treat pneumonia, and that's the reason I choose to harvest it and use it. And it's proven in the treatment of tuberculosis. They've done studies and research, and mullein is proven to be effective in the treatment of tuberculosis. Staph infection, E. coli. It's a natural expectorant and helps release mucus from the body, specifically the respiratory tract. Can be used to treat a varied amount of illnesses. It's antispasmodic. It eases muscle spasms, treats respiratory catarrhs. That's the buildup of mucus in the lungs, which is what I had. And, that's good to have something natural to help get rid of that. It's a natural moisturizer, externally relieves inflammation of the mucous membranes and throughout the whole body. It's great for urinary tract issues, sore throats, ear infections. In fact, one of the really great things about it, and a thing that I'm going to show you today, is how to make an oil infusion out of this comfrey that you can use to make eardrops. It's not for swimmer's ear. It's not to treat swimmer's ear or anything like that. It's to treat ear infections that maybe come from throat infections. Sometimes you'll get a sore throat and that'll turn into an ear infection. And the eardrops made from this oil infusion, it helps to ease that pain and swelling and that throbbing. I tell you, there is nothing that's really worse than an earache. It's a very painful thing. And this simple oil infusion made from this mullein relieves that. It's proven to relieve that. And I think right here in Rosemary Gladstar's herbal recipe book, she has a recipe for eardrops made from mullein. So there, if you do research, there's plenty of information on the mullein plant. But we harvest ours in the late spring, and if we make a tincture, we use 1 part herb to 5 parts of the liquid, the alcohol or the glycerin. But that's why what I wanted to share with you is mullein uses for ordinary people. I mean, we're not doctors, we're not herbalists. The common person out here living their life, we don't have a lot of information about plants unless we just go looking for it and make a decision to use something that's natural, that's simple, that's readily available. And once we make that decision, we can figure out how we can use that, incorporate that into our lives. But specifically for me, I harvested this mullein to make an infusion, a tincture, and mainly to make tea. So I'll use the majority, Donald and I will use the majority of this mullein tea for lung health. I've got some here that I've made with a little honey and lemon. And I have to have a little honey and lemon because this doesn't have a lot of flavor to it. It's not a strong taste or smell in mullein. It's pretty bland, and that's okay because it doesn't need to be real strong in flavor or smell. It's not like mint. You know how you can harvest mint, and mint will be so strong that you can just smell it when you enter the room. Mullein is very mild, and its properties are, it's kind of thick and coating. The leaf of it is really soft, and it's like a gentle herb. That's what I want to call it. I want to call it a gentle herb. But like any herb, it has the properties in it that can help you. Now, I bought this mullein at the health food store last year, and I gave $2 for an ounce. And then I harvested mullein last year, and this is all that I have left of what I harvested last year. And I've made tea and several other things out of it. The tincture, I can use this fresh mullein that I harvested today because I'll use alcohol, grain alcohol, to go in that tincture. But my oil infusion, I'll have to use my dried mullein. Excuse me, I dropped my scissors. But I'll have to use the dried mullein to go into the oil infusion. And the reason I want to make the oil infusion is because I need that for earaches. I need to have it on hand for myself, and I need to have it for my grandchildren. One of the easiest ways, without a doubt, to reap the benefits of the mullein herb is by making a tea. Here I have some organic mullein tea that I bought from the health food store, and it was $2 an ounce. And here I have mullein that I harvested last year, and it was free. I don't have it, it's dried, but I don't have it as finely ground as what you would buy from the health food store. But we're going to just make a tea out of it tonight. Now I'm going to use the tea that I harvested last year. And I dried it. And I'm just going to cut it up here in the tea diffuser. Now if you were going to use the Mullein that you bought from the health food store, you would just put about 2 tablespoons of tea in the diffuser. I wait to cut it up right before I use it. I keep it intact as long as I can. I just think, even though it's dry, that it helps preserve some of the oils and things that are in it. And then you just do it like you would regular tea. Just pour your boiling water over it and let it diffuse for about 10 minutes. And then come back and drink it. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. After about 10 minutes, your tea will have a nice green color to it. And it'll be ready to fix your tea the way you like it. I take my tea with a teaspoon or 2 of honey. And honey is also good for your throat. And has a lot of beneficial properties. And I like my tea with lemon. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you what I would normally do with this. The way that Donald and I would normally go ahead and use this. The first thing that I'm going to make for you will be a tincture. And the tincture is made with either grain alcohol or glycerin. It's an extraction. We're going to put the, we can actually use fresh herbs in the tincture. Today I'm going to use the grain alcohol, but if you were going to make this tincture for children or anybody that couldn't have alcohol for medical reasons or other reasons, then you could use vegetable glycerin. That makes an excellent tincture. So what I'm going to do is just take these fresh leaves that we harvested today, and I'm just going to cut them up with the scissors. Let me get a plate to put them on. I'm just going to just cut these up. Now, a lot of people will just use the leaves and they'll just go right down and cut along the little spine. And not use the whole leaf. And if you want to do that, you can do that too. But I don't. I just go ahead and use the whole leaf. And I just go ahead and cut that up. In small pieces. It has a herbally smell. It's not a real strong smell, but it just smells really good. It smells fresh and maybe like a vegetable. You can use the root of the mullein and you can use the flowers. The flowers are really good to make an oil infusion for to make salves out of. I mean, it's a real good comforting herb for skin, and it makes that good ear oil, which is what we'll make use our dry herbs and make some here in a minute. We're going to make some mullein oil infusion to use in oil drops, eardrops. And I just like to take the scissors and cut it up a little smaller if it seems too big. Now I'll just take this clean bottle and just stuff my clean herbs that I harvested into this clean bottle. And I don't stuff it too tight or fill it too full. The ratio is about 1 part herb to 5 parts liquid. But I know that these herbs, you know, there's a lot of oil in here, and these are, that's about the amount that I need. I don't really follow a recipe because I make it a lot, but I know if you're not used to making this, you need some kind of guideline about how much you'll need. So depending on the size of the bottle, like however many ounces you'll be using, a good ratio to start out with is 1 part herbs to about 5 parts liquid. I know that don't look like that's what that is, but that's about what that is. I didn't stuff them too tight because I wanted the alcohol to be able to get in around them. And then when you make your tincture, you'll want to shake it up and make sure that alcohol gets in all those air pockets and that your herb is covered. I got the spoon so you can see, you know, when you tamp it down in there, you can see about how much herb you have in ratio to alcohol. And just keep your herb covered with the alcohol. Now this will take about at least 2 weeks, and up to I leave them, you know, up to at least 3 months to let this infuse in a cool, dark place. And when this infuses, I'll strain this liquid out and pour it into an amber bottle to keep, and then administer it a few drops at a time as needed. So that's the tincture. To make the oil infusion, you'll need dried herbs. These were rosettes I harvested last year. And I just go ahead and cut these herbs right on up into the container. And you can hear them, they're crunchy, they're dry. Now you can use any oil that you like to use in general to make your oil infusion. Olive oil is a really good oil if you're going to use it for skin, like for earaches. I know when I was growing up, they would put sweet oil, which was olive oil, in your ear if you had an earache. Now it's not recommended that you put anything like that in your ear because it can cause an ear infection. But with this oil infusion, it has antibacterial properties. So olive oil is a good choice to make your oil infusion if you're going to use it to make eardrops. You'll do the same thing with your oil infusion that you do with your tincture. You'll shake it up, and you'll shake it up every so often, and you'll leave it for at least 2 weeks, and as long, up to 3 to 6 months, and then strain it out. And then you can use this infusion to make your salve or your ointments or your eardrops. And of course, the last way is to make the tea. That's one of the easiest ways to use your herbs. And one of the most flavorful. Well, I hope I've helped you today. I hope I've helped you in some way, encouraged just you to use the mullein plant this year, to go and harvest some, identify it, do your research, see what works for you, and harvest the mullein, and make these simple things that can help you in your everyday life. Thank you for joining me today, and like always, until next time.